All right, everybody knows all guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 are brought to us by our beer of choice. Official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0 is Johnny Cuba. You want to start your week off right? We're talking European roots or the Caribbean soul. Start your evening with a refreshing German lager in a can. You can pick up a six-pack, your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie. Always remember to drink responsibly. And, of course, Johnny Cuba's mantra, I practically live my life by it. Stay tranquilo. And joining us here, we have Zach Harper. You read him in The Athletic. You hear him on, Metalark, Cinephobe, SiriusXM, Mad Dog Radio, NBA Radio. Appreciate you hanging out with us here, Zach. I got a bunch of NBA stuff that I want to get to here.
Yeah.
But first, I want to do a little bit of Cinephobe with you.
Okay.
Because we're big into movies in the ZASLOW mansion. My older son and I, we go to movies all the time. This past weekend, we decided, let's just see a good action movie that we don't have to think about. We went and saw Plane. Have you seen Plane yet?
No, not yet, but I'm going to go see it this week. I am so excited. I didn't know what it was called, right? Someone sent me just the video. They'd ripped the video because they're like, oh, if you look at the tweet, you're going to see what it's called, right? And so it goes through the whole spiel of the trailer and everything. I'm like, yo, I'm locked into this. This is like my kind of movie. And then when it just flashed on the screen, Plane, I was like, bravo. This is exactly I haven't looked to see if it qualifies for Cinephobe. I sort of hope it does, even though you don't want those movies to get poorly rated because I think it knocks it. But man, that looks like such a fun movie.
Right. So Cinephobe's shtick is you guys talk about the movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes,
poorly
right?
rated. So it's got to be 40% or lower on either the audience or the critic score.
Okay, because Plane is getting very high scores.
That's what I was afraid of. And that there are these movies that come out that I want to be successful and I want to be highly regarded. And then they're just it ruins our show. But I don't think, maybe one of my favorite action movies ever, if not my favorite, is Face Off. I don't think people realize Face Off is 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. By the critics, people loved it and people thought no, this is a legit movie. So I will get that suggestion all the time. Oh, you got to do Face Off. I'm like, man, it's not even close to qualifying.
Plane, I recommend it very high. Just simple plot. I don't have to think hard. Get in, get out. That was enjoyable. Man, it's a good movie.
It's such good escapism, right? It's just such a you turn your brain off for 2 hours. You just have fun. That's what it's supposed to be.
Good. You know what? I had to get up in the middle of the movie. I wanted to go get a snack. Okay. I never get up during movies. Okay. Because I don't want to miss anything. But I get up. I told my son, stay right here. Tell me what happens. I came back in 3 minutes, but it's all right. I didn't miss anything complicated. I could jump right back in.
Yes. It's oh, this dude got shot. This dude's waiting in the jungle, whatever.
Really good movie. Now, there's a couple other movies that are out right now. I wonder if you've seen or what you think of them that me and my son, we want to go to. My son and I, my older one's 14. We like the disturbing movies, believe it or not. Yeah. We want to go out. What we haven't gotten to yet, we want to see Megan. Have you seen Megan?
No, I haven't seen it, but I pretty much everyone I know has seen it at this point, and they were all like, this is a super creepy movie. This was absolutely disturbing, which I love. I love scary movies. I like getting scared while watching scary movies. I just throw myself into it. I like the jump scares, all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that.
We saw the movie Smile a couple months ago.
Oh, Smile.
That movie's very scary. All right.
Yeah.
And my son at one scene, he had his hand over his face. I go, you put your hands down, you pussy. You will watch this. All right.
No, you're not doing that. You're not doing that peer through the fingers thing. No, you gotta take this scare. Yeah.
He almost fell out of his seat during one of the jump scares. They got jump scares in that movie.
I did a lot of oh my god, jumping back in my chair. Oh man, that was good.
Okay, and there's this one other movie that either just came out or it's about to come out. I don't think I'm gonna be able to take my son because it just may not. We're really liberal and really open in the ZASLOW mansion, but there might be a line that we can't cross. This movie, Infinity Pool. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Do you know anything about this movie?
I just I've seen some things and I'm in.
Me too, but I don't think I can take my son. I may not be able to take him.
That he's 14?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's seen some shit.
Yeah, so I remember this when I was 6 or 7. And I was like super into the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, right? Like
Yeah.
I thought they were hilarious. And I remember my best friend at the time, like he was over for like a sleepover, and I'm like, oh, let's watch, right?
Dream
And
Warriors, great movie.
and so we throw one on, and he's terrified the whole time. Like he's really scared. And I remember my mom like kind of comes in and checks and everything and sees that he's scared and kind of like gives me a look like, what's wrong with this kid? And I'm like, yeah, see, like I'm here for like weird stuff. I'm here for at a very young age of like, being exposed, like as long exposed to the right things. But like there's certain things where you can kind of explain it to a kid, but I don't know, man. This looks like an adults only.
Dicey.
Like, yeah, it looks dicey for sure.
Apparently, they barely skirted an NC-17.
Yeah, when you're towing line, like that's you should probably adhere to like, you know what, 17. You can we'll rent out a theater or something. We'll put this on the big screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So that all right. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what's the most recent movie you guys did on Cinephobe.
Let's see. We just had Men in Black International as part of Liam Neeson month, which is not a good movie. But we had our friend Marshall Newhouse. He played in the NFL. He's offensive lineman, big dude. He played for he protected Tom Brady. I think, or wait, no, Brady might have been gone. He played a year with the Patriots. He played like 8 years with the Packers. He's a big fan of Cinephobe, and he was like, I want to do this movie. And he even said like, I'm doing this to sacrifice us for the pod. Like he knew how bad it was. I'd already seen it in the theater and I had forgotten everything except one scene. It's not a good movie.
There's enough bad Liam Neeson movies to do a month worth.
Oh, dude, we could do 3 months. Like they're like just in the last, I want to say, I looked this up, in the last 3 years, I think 7 movies qualify.
Wow.
So like, and that's just in the last 3 years. Like he's just cranking these things.
He's just he's just trying to remodel the home. Like
absolutely, like get a summer home, get a new pool in it. Like, yeah, that's what he's doing.
Okay, so hey, everybody out there, you check out Cinephobe. It's a really fun listen. Let's do some NBA here, man.
Yeah.
So the Heat, the Heat had a terrible loss yesterday, but that's one of those deals where, I wasn't even mad about the loss because here's the thing. It's not going to change my opinion that this Heat team, they could totally lose to anyone, and at the same time, they could totally beat anyone.
Yeah, it's just such a weird team. Like, it's weird to see that they were the best 3-point shooting team or top 2 or 3 3-point shooting teams last year, and they can't hit anything this year. Like wide open threes. I think Amin and I were talking yesterday on NBA radio, and I think the stat he gave me was on wide open threes this year, they're shooting 35%. Which is just below league average of shooting threes, period.
Yeah.
Let alone wide open threes. They were like 41, 42% last year. And not a lot has changed. Like, no offense to PJ Tucker, who shot the ball well. He didn't shoot that many of them last year. Like, that shouldn't change the entire dynamic. And sometimes things just happen. Like the Raptors, for instance. Raptors have a really good offensive rating. They don't turn the ball over. They get to the free throw line. They offensive rebound like crazy. They can't hit shots this year. They got a bunch of good shooters. They can't hit shots. It's persisted for 50 games, and you just don't think it's going to go away. The Heat, it's kind of been the same thing, except their defense has been so elite, and especially as of late, 3 of the last 6 games, they held opponents under 100 points. Like, you just don't see that anymore, especially not that often. And so, like, I think they're going to be fine. I think the shots will eventually fall. It's funny, like yesterday's game, I was more encouraged by them scoring like 117 or whatever it was than them giving up 122. Cause I'm like, maybe they're both aberrations, but I was like, that you want to see that offense clicking. And I know it's against a bad opponent, but whatever, shots need to go in. And so I'm still very high on the Heat. I think they'll be fine. And I think they probably play their competition more than they should. That's a team they should just put away. But if their competition in the playoffs is all good competition, they play their competition, like you have to be encouraged, right?
Bam's a guy now, huh? Like he is so far better than he was last year offensively.
He is. I gotta see that in the playoffs, man. Like like that's just something where I have high hopes from every postseason, and he's not, I won't say he's afraid to shoot. He's just hesitant to do what the defense is giving him. Like defense is giving him that mid-range jumper. He can hit it. He's super skilled. Like that's the thing. Like he's one of the most skilled offensive big men in the league, and he shows it most of the time. I want to see that in the playoffs because I think he could dominate a series on both ends of the floor against anybody. Again, literally against anybody. I don't care about the matchup. Like he's that good. I want to see that mentality.
Like they beat the Celtics last year with this Bam.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, this Bam, like they beat the Celtics. I know they got swept by the Bucks the year before, but I think they pushed that to 7 with this Bam. Because the Bucks 2 years ago were just like, here, do whatever you want. You can have the middle of the floor. Like that's yours. We're going to take everything else away.
Yeah.
Him being aggressive and him having this confidence and this skill set, if that goes into the postseason, it changes every matchup.
I've never disliked a Heat player more than I dislike watching Kyle Lowry. You know, he's tough to watch when he is playing well because it's constant bitching and moaning and complaining. And now watching him when he's not playing well, dude, it's brutal.
Yeah, it's kind of like a middle management Chris Paul thing, right? Like it's just like there's a lot of complaining, there's a lot of whining, and look, if it gets you calls and I don't like it aesthetically, but I get it. Like everyone's trying to get every inch they can out there, every call they can. And if it ends up influencing the referees in a way, like I guess that's all that matters is if it helps you come out on top. But man, like Kyle used to be one of my favorite players. I loved him in Memphis. I loved him in Houston. I loved him in Toronto. I liked him last year. Like I thought he was good. And now, like, man, it's just you can tell that mileage has caught up with him. He can't quite separate. He's not hitting shots from the outside, and the defense can be good. And I know he's played a lot of minutes this year, but it's just, man, this is not the Kyle Lowry everyone's used to seeing.
You know, the Heat fan, I'll get these tweets where, does Spo have it in him to put him to the bench, to come off the bench? I don't think it's that simple. I mean, because,
man,
obviously, you're the coach of the team. Yes, you're making decisions like that. How much should guys play, start, bench, that kind of deal. But I think there's a little bit more to it. You got the whole Jimmy Butler dynamic. They're obviously tight. I don't think it's an easy balance for what there is to do with Kyle Lowry.
It would be great if it was as simple as like Spo gets to go coach. And, Pat's going to support him on whatever he wants to do. But like you can't lose key members of the team. If that rubs Jimmy the wrong way, like we've seen what that looks like. Like it can spark like it did last year when they got into it, right? And then they were on a tear after that and almost made the finals. Or it can turn into a Minnesota Timberwolves situation or Chicago Bulls situation. And I don't think the Heat are way more well constructed at just organizationally to prevent it from being a meltdown like that. But look, Jimmy's a tough dude to be around. Like he really does weed out like who shouldn't be with him. And I think you got to keep him on your side. You don't have to cater to Jimmy, but there are certain things where if he wants Kyle out there and there are guys on that team that want Kyle out there, look, I think Gabe Vincent's been way better the last year and a half. I don't think you can really argue against that. And I think they're better off when Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin and Bam Adebayo are all out there defensively and what they can do. But look, man, like you have to play Kyle. The money is the money. The relationship with Jimmy is what it is, and you got to play that kind of political game a little bit within that rotation.
I saw this report either yesterday or the day before. I don't know if it's valid, but I saw this report how, there are teams out there that are interested in Lowry. They've called the Heat, but the Heat, are not interested in moving him. Which is less believable, that there are teams out there interested in him or that the Heat are rebuffing offers to move him?
I think it's that the Heat are rebuffing offers to move because, I know something that's out there is the idea of like the Timberwolves don't want D'Angelo Russell anymore, right? Like he's so bad. Like he's just so bad, but they can't lose that salary spot. They can't just replace the $31 million that they're paying him. Like you kind of have to find a way to manipulate that into other like multiple role players or another player for around that money. And Kyle's around that money. The complication for the Wolves is Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell are best friends, right? So like you kind of got to cater to Cat a little bit, even though that organization isn't good and that team isn't good. So I don't know how much you need to cater to Karl Anthony Towns, but also, sure, the Heat could have cap relief because D'Lo's an expiring deal this summer. But then you kind of punt on this year, and we know Pat Riley doesn't want to punt on this year. We know the organization feels like they can, really make some noise. I don't know what they need to do at the deadline or if they can do much at the deadline. But yeah, like I know there are teams that would want to kind of move Kyle into that slot and you have an extra year of figuring out what to do with that money. But if the other option is like D'Angelo Russell. Like, no, you're not going to do that if you're the Heat. Like,
yeah,
so
I don't
they
think
shouldn't be.
He doesn't.
They shouldn't be
seem like a
rebuffing.
Heat guy.
No, he's definitely. I mean, Spo would strangle him within 2 days. Like, there's no way, and I don't think Jimmy would like him either. So like, yeah, it's ridiculous that they'd be rebuffing offers for Kyle, but if that's the offer, then like, yeah, like you can't do that move.
Do you hear anything? You hear any stuff out there about other options that the Heat may have in the next couple of weeks?
I mean, like Jay Crowder's obviously been on a lot of people's radar for a reunion there, but it kind of sounds like Milwaukee might be in the lead there. Shams Charania of The Athletic reported today. I think the Bucks are believed to be the only team that's gotten a one-on-one meeting with Crowder, and that's kind of like an idea that he might be in the lead there.
Do we know what happened there? I mean, he was just insulted that they're not going to start him anymore.
There was no contract extension. Like he wanted a contract extension. He didn't want to come off the bench for Cam Johnson. Like it just there was a lot of like him feeling disrespected, and to me, it's wild to just like say I'm not going to play. Like no, like look, he's a good player. He's good in his role. Like we've seen what he can do on multiple teams. You're Jay Crowder. Like you can't. Like it's ridiculous. Like at least Andre Iguodala when he went to Memphis was like, yeah, man, I'm a champion. I've won Finals MVP. Yeah. Like I'm at the end of my run. Like I'm not playing for this Grizzlies team. And the Grizzlies turned out to be good, right? And it helped kind of galvanize them a little bit. But with I mean, like you're Jay Crowder. Like I get you typing all caps on Twitter and stuff, but you can't. Like that's not a thing. Like you don't get to do that. But I guess apparently he does because the Suns were like, yeah, whatever, stay home. We'll find a spot for you.
So one of the big stories over the weekend was, I mean, the end of the Lakers Celtics game. I've been on LeBron the whole season. I'm not a fan anymore off the court. I mean, on the court, he's phenomenal. Come on.
Yeah.
But off the court, I don't like a lot of what he's about anymore. So I get a lot of, you weren't like that when he was with the Heat, ZASLOW. Number one, welcome to sports. But number two, I also don't think he's the same guy now as he was.
He got weird, man. He got weird. Like I mean, maybe it was always this way. Everything's just so performative now, right? Like I just don't know what's real and what's like show with him. And so like I'm kind of with you.
What kind of reaction was that after the non-foul?
That was more of an emotion than when he won the title with Cleveland. That whole like Cleveland, this is for you and all that. Like there was more emotion in this tantrum that he threw than that entire celebration. Like when I wasn't watching the game live, right? I'm kind of keeping track on my phone or whatever, but I was out and I see video of him reacting like that, and I'm like, oh my God, like I got to find out what happened. I go to League Pass, I rewind it till where we get to this point. I'm like, yeah, you got fouled, but like this isn't gonna make or break your season. You suck. Your team is terrible. Like you're putting up numbers, but like your team isn't any good.
And it's January.
This isn't keeping you from anything. Like that was such a weird reaction. I'm like, I felt like I had pulled up the wrong game, even though I was watching the reaction from this guy. I felt like I had pulled up the wrong game because it was so bizarre.
It's a crazy reaction. And okay, hey, he cares. I like it when the guys care. He cares, Zach. He cares so much that 36 hours yesterday, ahead of the game tonight against Brooklyn, he's already been ruled out.
Yeah.
All right. He cares so much. He's already ruled out a day and a half ahead of the next game.
I got a theory. I think he was on pace to break this record in Indiana, and he didn't want to do that.
Maybe.
So he's like, all right, man, I'm sitting out against Brooklyn. Like, I think I don't know if there's a good game to do it because he's not going to do it in New York, right? Like, he would have to put up like 60 and 60 or something like that. So he's not going to do it in Madison Square Garden, or he wasn't before. But I think he looked at it as like, pace I'm on, Pacers? No, I don't want to do this, man. I'll do it at home. I'll do it in New Orleans or whatever that next road game is. But I think, yeah, but you're right. Like, did he use up all of his energy? And he's like, all right, I'm tapped for Monday night. I can't do this. Like, I'm too tired.
Like he's listed as ankle soreness. How do you know you're not going to wake up Monday and the ankle's not sore anymore?
Also, that treatment they get, man, like they do magic with that stuff.
I can't get into the load management stuff with you. It's too much.
Look, I still like LeBron. Like I don't have any real problems with him. I find myself rolling my eyes with him so often. Like he's I watch basketball every night, and this is like your team is fourth in free throws. Like don't tell me like you guys aren't getting calls. Like I get it. You don't get as many calls as you used to. You also shoot a ton of jumpers. You shoot 7 threes a game that you shouldn't be taking because you're shooting 31%.
And you know what? Also, teams. You know what kind of teams don't get calls?
Bad ones.
The shitty teams.
Yeah, bad teams don't get calls. Like, I hate to say it, but like that's a real thing around the NBA. Yep. Good teams get calls, bad teams don't. You got to deal with it.
And you're a bad team.
It's a bad team. Like, he doesn't play defense anymore. He puts up numbers, and look, I think this whole season, because they're so bad, it should be about him breaking the record anyway. That's all the focus should be. Like, okay, let's say they get into the play-in tournament. I don't have confidence they would beat OKC. I don't have confidence they beat Portland. It's just not a good team. And so focus on the record, break the record, shatter the record, set it to where no one else could ever catch it, and wrap up the career playing with your son. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Just quit pretending that you're trying to compete for a title. It's like not with this team.
Is this now a new thing that the referee Twitter account is just going to be like admitting mistakes in big spots? Because that kind of opens Pandora's box. And that was not a good look.
Look, it's the thing. This is way worse than the LeBron tantrum.
Yeah.
Is they said this is a lot of sleepless nights. Sleepless nights? That's a 23 and 27 team. You didn't do this shit in the finals. You didn't do this shit in the conference finals. Right. Not even in a play-in tournament game. This is January, late January. That's a sleepless night scenario for you? Get out of here. That's way more performative than anything LeBron did on that court.
Screw up a playoff game. I better see a tweet immediately after that game.
Oh, there better be. Oh my, look, we need to take some time. We need to take a sabbatical after this blown call because we are just apoplectic. Like, we can't handle this anymore. We're so sorry. Like, we're going to start taking some pills so we can sleep. We're going to make sure that we have a nighttime tea. We're going to make sure that, we have blackout curtains and an eye mask and everything, because it is going to be so hard for us to rest our heads on our pillows and fall asleep after blowing this call. I mean, you saw what happened after the Lakers game and January 28th. Like, it's just, now this is kicked that up so much more. We're so sorry from the bottom of our heart. Thoughts and prayers to all players involved. Like, that's what it's got to be.
So really bad precedent.
It's stupid. Like, I actually have I used to love it. And now the whole replay thing, the whole 2-minute report, the
last 2-minute report's terrible. I hate the last 2-minute report.
It's stupid, man. Like, it's this faux transparency because of the Tim Donaghy stuff, right? Like that's where it comes from. And maybe there's some gambling stuff that's intertwined with that to where they feel the need to be transparent, but it's just like, it does nothing. You don't reverse any contest. It's just like, our bad. Like, we know you missed it. We saw it. Like, we complained about it, or we noticed it in real time. Like, I don't need them to confirm that. Like, that doesn't, if it doesn't change, if they're not like, all right, let's run back those last 32 seconds from Hawks Grizzlies and we'll try to see if they get this right. Like, if it doesn't do that, it's just dumb. Like, I don't want as many replays anymore. I don't want that stuff. Like, we have human error in sports. We have human error in officiating. I think it's gone too far in terms of like trying to quote unquote get it right, because there's a certain point where it ruins the product of the game. Like, sports has been about, I feel this way about looking stuff up, right? It used to be like, you would be at a bar with friends and be like, hey man, Damian Easley hit 35 home runs one year. People and your friend be like, Damian Easley didn't hit 35 home runs in any year. It's like, yeah, man, it did. And you would argue for 30 minutes about it and his time with the Tigers and all this stuff. And then you move on to another subject. Now it's like, hey, Damian Easley hit 35 home runs. Hold on, let me look it up. I got to pull out my phone. Like, it's just this, it's too much checking stuff now. Like, let's just have fun with this stuff again.
If I could tell, and I want to add one more thing here, and then I'll let you go here, Zach. You've been really kind with your time. We got we got the All-Star game coming up.
Yeah.
I got this weird beef with the way they do the All-Star game now that I need your opinion on. Not that the All-Star game matters. Of course it doesn't matter. And the idea of picking the teams like playground style is fun and all. But here's my beef with the All-Star game now. When I was a kid, and God, the All-Star game was must watch when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm a kid, East versus West. Mm-hmm. Okay, I know what's going on. Now when I watch the game, because we don't do East and West anymore, I don't know who's on which team.
Same.
I'm watching the game. I don't know. They should put in this guy. Like, I don't know who plays for who. And it makes it a weird watch for me.
Man, I think it was a good idea to try it, right? Like, captains, pick teams. I love that they're going to pick teams on the court right before the game. Like, I think that's a phenomenal idea. Here's what I think they should do. I'm with you. Like, it should be East. It should be East-West. 2, they should be wearing their own uniforms. I don't want these dumb, like generic, oh, we've got the blue team and we've got the gradient orange team. Like, I miss it when like I would see like Steve Smith and Larry Johnson in a Hawks and a Hornets jersey, like on the court in the All-Star game. Like, that's what I want. And so I think they should go back to like the team jerseys. And then if you want to pick teams, give the East 20 guys in a player pool. And the captain, whoever gets the most votes for the East, LeBron or Giannis this year, he's got to pick the other 11 out of those 20. So you have 9 guys that don't get to play.
9 guys
do the same in the
nothing?
West. Do the same. Yep, they flew there for nothing. They got a free trip to Salt Lake City or Park City or whatever. Congratulations. And do the same for the West. You want drama, you want picking teams, that's what should happen. That's what they should do. Like, we vote on 20 players from each conference to go, and only 11 get picked by those captains. And that's what it should be. Like, I like the change where they made like the Elam ending where, the fourth quarter they got to get to. So I think that's good because it creates a more competitive vibe than what had been there in years. You don't have, Steph literally lying down on the floor while Giannis dunks on him and stuff in the game. So I like that. But man, like this, I'm with you. Like, I'm rooting for Team LeBron. I'm rooting for Team Giannis. I don't know what that means. Like, I used to be like, oh, hey man, the West won the last 4 All-Star games. Like, look at that. And now I'm like, I don't know who won. I couldn't tell you which team won the last 2 years. I have no idea. Watched it. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Bam will be assigned to, I'm assuming Bam's going to get in. Bam will be assigned to, Team Giannis or Team Durant, LeBron, whatever it is. And the game's going to be going on. I'm not going to know who Bam plays for. Right,
exactly. It's so weird. And so, because it just says like all-star across the chest, right? So it doesn't even tell you. So I'm like, all right, blue team. Oh, blue team score. It went for LeBron. Okay, I hope they added that right on the graphic and I didn't just like miss it because every once in a while they screw that up, right? Like, I have no idea who I'm rooting for. And let me add one more thing about this all-star stuff. I absolutely love when the starters get announced, right? Starters get announced on TNT and players take to Twitter or players take it and they're like, so-and-so got robbed. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got robbed. Joel Embiid's like, it's disappointing, but it's just fuel to the fire because what they're doing is complaining about their own fans. I think it's hilarious. Like, people are like Kings fans, for example, were after I think the first or second returns, they're like, this is ridiculous that Austin Reeves is ahead of De'Aaron Fox. Agreed. Vote for your guy more.
Right.
Like, this is on you. Like, with those ballots and everything, I think it's just so funny when players complain about the starters. Like, the reserves, whatever. You complain about that all day. That's coaches. That's a whole other process. But it's just so funny to me when they're complaining to the fans of their own product and their own fandom where I'm like, all you're doing is saying you guys didn't vote for me enough.
That happened with the NFL when people were complaining that Tua was number 1 among all vote getters. Like, granted, I'm sure the Samoan community also, but we did a great job voting for our guy. We're being really good fans.
Yeah, absolutely. It's why that one year Zaza Pachulia almost made the All-Star because the Warriors fans were like, yeah, man, we're voting for him. We don't care. Like,
remember they did it one year. Remember the NHL one year, an AHL like enforcer made it as a starter. I think maybe he played for Montreal at the time, and he was voted. It was like a gag, but he was voted in as a starter. Yeah.
Look, I'm here for ballot returns being completely tampered with when it comes to all-star stuff, all pro stuff. Doesn't matter. Like, the more chaos, the better. That's what we need in sports.
Zach, excellent job. Tell everybody the myriad of platforms that you can be heard and seen on.
The Athletic that we just launched today, a brand new daily newsletter. It's free. You don't have to subscribe to that for any money like you do the Athletic, but it's a free newsletter. I run that every day. So go to theathletic.com/bounce newsletter. You can sign up there, read The Athletic if you're subscribed. Thank you very much. You can catch me on SiriusXM NBA Radio, SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio, and of course, listen to Cinephobe, the podcast where Amin Al-Hassan and I watch movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes. We try to ascertain if they're properly poorly rated, or maybe they didn't get a fair shake. It's Cinephobe. It's produced by Anthony Mays, part of Meadowlark Media, wherever you get podcasts.
Man, Infinity Pool looks crazy. I gotta see it.
Hey, man, you know what? I might come to Miami and watch that with you since you're not taking your son. I'm ready for it, man.
I gotta know what's going on there, man.
I know. It's crazy.
Great job, Zach. Thanks,
Zaz. Appreciate it.